My name's Ezra from Allegaeon, and you're listening to Metal Wani. How are you?
I'm doing good, Mr. Ezra Haynes. How are you?
I'm doing absolutely wonderful. Thanks for asking.
Man, Elements of the Infinite, I had the pleasure of listening to it from past 1 week, and all I can say is it's phenomenal.
Dude, I love to hear that. Thank you.
And just tell me one thing. I just wanted to know, with that video which you guys came up with, 1.618, what was the idea behind it? I mean, what were you guys trying to do in that video?
Okay, so when we first started filming that, it was actually a decent amount of time ago. We had different members in the band. We didn't have a full-time drummer. We had Ryan Glisson was playing guitar at the time. We started filming it. We did the black metal scene, and then just over time, Ryan ended up moving on to other projects and had different members, and we were just like, okay, well, that was still a good idea. We should still rehash that. So we ended up going into like the mode of just trying to think of the most ridiculous things ever. And,
right.
Basically it's, we're not trying to offend people. It's more so that we're trying to point out how ridiculous some people can act towards, subgenres. I mean, if you notice on the internet, people are like, oh, they're melodic death metal. Oh, no, they're technical death metal. No, they're, it gets a little ridiculous. So we're just poking fun at people.
Wonderful. And one thing is for sure, I've been following you guys right from the beginning, and while listening to the album, one thing was very clear. I could easily feel that you guys wanted to give an album to your fans who not only sound, like Allegaeon, but go beyond and, above your game.
I mean, most definitely that's the goal. We did incorporate a few different things on this record that we haven't necessarily had the ability to do before. For instance, like the string and brass instruments and just a little bit things that carries more depth.
True.
But also with having different members and all that, it was just a different vibe. So everything's positive. Everybody's on the same page for once in Allegiance history. This is the first time that everybody is absolutely on the same page.
Right.
And I think definitely just having a good vibe and a good head on everybody's shoulders, that produced an album that, in my opinion, surpasses Form Shifter and Fragments of Form and Function.
Amazing. And in terms of writing, what was the process this time? But one thing is for sure, your vocals are phenomenal. It's probably the strongest vocals I've heard on any album till date. Very cool. Thank you. So how was the writing this time?
The writing, since we parted ways with Ryan, Greg has been writing a lot of the music for this record for a long time. And then Michael Stansel, our new guitar player, he came in. He brought about 2 songs to the table. It would have been more, but he was so new to the band. You know what I mean?
Right.
But as far as that goes, a lot of it's still kind of the same route. Everybody writes at home. You send it to each other through the email, MP3.
Right.
And we'll take it from there. We'll see what we like, what we don't like. For the most part, I've liked everything that the dudes have produced. And other than that, like Fragments of Form and Function, I wrote about 60% of the lyrics.
Awesome.
Form Shifter, I wrote about half of the lyrics or something.
Half was written by Greg, and then half was written by you.
Yeah. And Ryan was also a good part of it.
Okay.
And on this record, I wrote all of the lyrics except for on Biomech 2. Greg and I both wrote Biomech 1, so we thought it would be a cool idea. So we split up Biomech 2 50-50 pretty much. So I wrote majority of the lyrics on this album, which I'm pretty proud of this time.
That's awesome. And in terms of vocals, they're very strong on this album compared to the previous material. So what sort of mindset was there in the studio while you went to record your vocals?
When I first started Allegion, I used to play in a band. I played in the band before them, and I was more known for doing highs and just a little bit of mid-range.
Okay.
And then we started doing the Allegion thing. We kind of all figured, it'd be a best route. The best route would be stick to the mids. And then I started to get to play with that a little bit more during Fragments and Form Shifter. And now my focus is lows. Like I'm mids and lows, not so much highs anymore. I like I don't know. I just like the sound of it. Plus, it kind of it opens up my range as well.
Cool. That's awesome. And in terms of lyrics, I kind of see you guys are always fascinated with the science and archaeology and even social prejudices. So this time, I kind of felt with the song 1.618, you guys kind of played around with the Fibonacci series, some sort of a golden ratio, I guess.
Yes, it is the I mean, golden ratio, Fibonacci series. I mean, they're so closely related. It's ridiculous. Yeah, it's just something that reoccurs in all of nature, no matter what. And I mean, anywhere from a seashell to galaxies. So I mean, it's something that's reoccurring, and I thought it would be a great concept just to kind of throw that in there.
Wonderful. And now with Ryan's departure, it's pretty much clear that Greg had to pick up the slack. Usually he used to write half of the record, and then the other guys also used to chip in. But with Ryan's departure, I think it kind of made him, let's say, prove to the fans a bit more than how intense the writing was.
Yeah, man, you nailed all of it. That's exactly the words that he uses verbatim is, I have to pick up slack. And he did. I think he did a wonderful job of it, too.
That's awesome. And one thing is very, very interesting which I noticed from you guys is your Facebook page. I mean, I must say it's very unorthodox. I like it. I mean, you guys interact with the fans and you guys keep it rolling. So, is it like a conscious decision or that's, how you guys roll?
We're all really goofy guys. Like, I mean, the only thing that should ever be taken seriously with Allegaeon is the music.
All right.
As far as us as people, literally, we're just jokes and jokes and jokes. And, I mean, I'm a firm believer that a sense of humor can go a long way. So that's why, like, majority of the posts or anything, you'll probably see it's kind of based by sense of humor. I mean, that's the route I've always taken when I interact with anybody. I like to joke around all the time.
So what does it happen when your fans kind of take it a bit offensive?
I mean, there's been some things that we have done, but it's done good than bad.
Right. That's absolutely true. And now, what about Joe Ferris, man? An orchestral composer. I could find some elements of his work on this album. So that kind of sounded more like a classical game on this album.
I completely agree with you. Me personally, I have never met Joe Ferris. I would love to meet him. Maybe I have, just like a passing, but never actually sat down and really got to know the guy. That's a buddy of Greg's more so than anything, and. I don't know, Greg and Joe, but they work together great. So, I mean, I think it was a huge move and a great move on our part to have him on the record.
Awesome. And one thing is pretty much evident is while listening to the Form Shifter, I could easily figure out it was one of the best heavy metal records of 2012. Now, coming back to the Elements of Infinite, I could feel it's very easy to, get into the album and just flow with it. Like, it was a bit difficult for me to get into Form Shifter, but Elements of Infinite is more smooth. So was it did it came naturally, or was it more like a conscious decision to make it sound like that?
Oh, well, in my opinion, I think Form Shifter was dark. It was, I can see it, dark and edgy, like it was hard to get into. And as far as Elements, I mean, it's a more thrashy album to me. It's faster than anything we've done. There's a lot of dark spots, but I think that the orchestration is really what helped it move from song to song to be a fluent product. I think that Joe definitely is a huge key factor in the reasoning why it's a more easy-flowing album than any previous album.
That's wonderful. Now, one thing is for sure, like, I'm aware that I have my friends in Metal Blade, and while you guys have been on tour for like majority of the time, and somehow I got to know that the Metal Blade's new motto for you guys is Allegaeon not failing.
Yep.
So what is the story behind it? I mean, what exactly happened?
Okay, that's kind of funny. So after the departure of Ryan Glisson and after hooking up with Michael Stancil and Brandon Park, we were contacting Metal Blade, going back and forth via email, and I think Greg was doing it at the time, and he was just like, here's the thing, we're looking to do these tours, we're already going to have 2 videos ready for you, we're going to have this, that, and the other. We just gave him a plate of everything, being like, hey, we're ready, because I mean, to be honest with you, when we had a different lineup, things were not moving, smoothly. It was a real pain to even get on the road or get anything done between all of us. So, for once, being able to tell Metal Blade, hey, this is all of the stuff we already have ready. Mm-hmm. And immediately, like, I think that Metal Blade was like, oh, wow, like, you guys really do want to do this, and you guys are fixing some stuff in your camp. And, yeah, Allegaeon not failing. And we saw that.
That sounds awesome.
We just laughed.
Absolutely. Now, you guys have been plagued with members and vehicle problems on the road. So after all this, funda, you are right now with a stable lineup. So how does it feel? You guys are going to be on tour for the rest of 2014 and beyond. So what does it feel like to be a touring, metal musician for you?
Finally. It's a little surreal to me. Like, we have a really long touring schedule for the rest of the year, from my understanding, if everything goes correct.
Right.
It's nice, man. It's what I wanted to do my whole life. So after being on Metal Blade for 4 years, like, it's time, and I'm excited for it.
Phenomenal. So what different zones are you exploring these time? Which countries, continents are you guys exploring?
We're going to attempt to go into Canada. Canada happens to be a really hard country for U.S. citizens to get into if they've ever had a DUI.
Seriously? I mean, I thought it would have been like quite close for you guys and much more smooth compared to Europe.
Exactly. That's what I would think. But apparently, I mean, there's a lot of bands out, that we've talked to that can't get in. I mean, what was it? Just 2 bands were not allowed in. I don't know what their reasoning was, but Whitechapel, I think, was not allowed in there. And then Fit for an Autopsy. I don't know. I read it on the Metal News or something. But me personally, my situation is a few years ago I got a DUI. So now that's all cleared up. But it tends to be a little bit of a pain to get into that country, my understanding. Hopefully everything goes still smooth. I mean, we're still going to try it. Just, I guess, the only thing that I'm going to do is I'm just going to be honest and, like, throw it out there, ahead of time.
Absolutely.
That, there's no way I want that coming back on me.
Right.
And then, so I'm going to do that. We're going to do that. We're going to go out with Chimera real quick here, and then we're going to go out with another band for a U.S. tour, and I can't really say anything about that, but that's supposed to be pretty huge. And then a full Canadian tour, and then I just heard yesterday, and, in the music industry, like, everything is subject to change, but it's a possibility we may be going to South America.
Awesome.
Yeah, and then Europe.
Man, Latin American fans are crazy. Let me tell you, probably you would have seen it all. Seeing the bands go out there, thousands and thousands of fans, phenomenal concerts over there.
Exactly. That's what I'm looking forward to, man.
Wonderful. So Europe covered, South America and North America as well. What about India? Now, you got to tell me that, because you have so many fans out there. I spoke with Greg a few years ago, and he really wanted to come over here and explore India and play in front of the fans. So what about you? Are you interested to come over here?
What? Haven't I spoke with you before, too?
No, I spoke with Greg.
Oh, okay. The Vitek sounds familiar. But me personally, dude, I really want to go to India. That is one of the oldest lands in the world, and that is so intriguing to me. Like, unfortunately, on tour, you don't really get too much time to explore.
Right.
Because you're just moving from place to place, and especially in different countries, I mean, like, for instance, it's not the safest thing for us to go to South America or Mexico, but we're gonna still try. You know what I mean?
True, yeah.
With India, like, I don't see it as a danger, really. I see it more as a lot of
adventure,
planning. And yes, most definitely adventure. I want to go to India incredibly bad. I honestly, dude, I want to travel everywhere, and yeah, India is definitely on my list.
That's basically the idea of a musician, to travel to different countries and explore and play in front of the fans.
Exactly. It goes either 2 ways. One, you have to pack up and get to another venue immediately, or 2, sometimes, there's a few days. So if we were ever granted a few days off in India, I think that would be ideal.
Wow, that's phenomenal. Now, let me end the interview on a very simple note for you. If I would have to ask you to define Elements of Infinite in a sentence.
Okay. I can think of so many horrible things.
You can explore.
Yeah. A good old-fashioned throat punch.
Brilliant. So I was just expecting you to hit the nail, but somehow you managed. Phenomenal, dude. And to all your fans in India, who are waiting for you to have your music is gonna come out in just few weeks. So any message for them, please go ahead.
I very much appreciate picking up the album. I mean, I understand if you have to download it or not, but if you do find yourself downloading it and if you like it, please give us the support. We've been around for about 4 years, active, and we're still a growing band, and we really, we appreciate any kind of support like that. Any support equals more successful, opportunities, really, for us. I mean, if you want us to come to your countries, if you want these things to happen, it all really does come down to numbers. And,
Absolutely.
When the numbers show, then the labels, the agents, everybody sees it's a domino effect, and then that's what's going to get us to your country is if you support us and pick up the album.
Brilliant, Ezra. Thank you so much. And let me tell you something. I like the status of your Skype.
Oh, what does it say?
Fuck you. Brilliant, dude. Thank you so much for sparing your precious time. You have a long list of interviews. I'm aware of that. So have a great, great day ahead.
Hey, you've been wonderful to talk to, man. I hope you have an absolutely wonderful day. And thanks for giving me a call, man.